Good morning, this is Kavi Priya, Assistant Professor, EC Department, SNS College of Technology. I am going to deliver a topic, comparison of various analog communication systems. So I am going to compare up AM, FM and PM. So first we can see what is this AM, what is FM and what is PM. AM is a amplitude modulation in which the amplitude of the carrier wave is varied in accordance with the amplitude of the modulating signal. So in the diagram, first one is a message signal and second one is a carrier signal. So message signal is a low frequency signal and the carrier signal is a high frequency signal. So these two signals are get combined in the modulator. So the carrier signal is varied, amplitude of carrier signal is varied in accordance with the amplitude of the message signal. So the output is a AM modulated signal. And next is the frequency modulation. In frequency modulation, the frequency of a carrier signal is varied with the amplitude of the message signal. So the diagram, the first graph indicates a message signal, second one is a carrier and the third one is a frequency modulated signal. So based on the amplitude of the message signal, the carrier signal frequency will get changed. So it will be different for the T on and T off. So the amplitude of carrier signal, whereas it's kept as a constant. When a message signal is maximum, there will be one variation in the carrier signal. When the message signal is minimum, there will be some variation in the frequency of a carrier signal. And third is a phase modulation, the modulation in which the phase of the carrier is varied in accordance with the amplitude of the message signal. Then we call it as a phase modulation technique. Here the amplitude of the carrier is kept constant and the frequency also kept constant. There will be only change in the phase of the carrier signal based on the amplitude of the message signal. So based on the input signal, when the input signal is maximum, there will be one phase, and there will be when the input signal is when the message signal is a minimum, then there will be a change in the phase of the carrier signal. So we are going to see what is the difference between the AM and FM, amplitude modulation and the frequency modulation. So we know AM stands for amplitude modulation and FM stands for frequency modulation. So AM method of audio transmission was successfully carried out in the mid of 1870, whereas FM was developed in the United States in the year 1930 itself by Edwin Armstrong. And the modulating differences is, in AM, the radio wave known as carrier or carrier wave is modulated in amplitude by the signal that is being transmitted. In FM, the radio wave known as a carrier or carrier wave is modulated in frequency by the signal that is to be transmitted. And the constant parameters in case of AM are frequency and phase, whereas in case of FM are amplitude and the phase. There will be a change in the amplitude in AM, there will be a change in the frequency of a carrier wave in FM. And whereas quality is concerned, AM has poorer sound quality and a lower bandwidth, but it is cheaper. It can be transmitted over a long distance as it has a lower bandwidth, which is why we can hold more stations available in any frequency ranges. Whereas in case of FM, FM is less affected by interferences, but FM signals are impacted by the physical barriers. They have a better sound quality due to higher bandwidth. And next is a frequency range. The frequency range of AM ranges between 535 and 1700 kilohertz or even up to 1200 bits per second. FM or radio ranges in a high spectrum from 88.1 to 108.1 megahertz or up to 1200 to 2400 bits per second. Bandwidth is much lesser than frequency modulation for AM. The bandwidth is twice the frequency of modulating signal. Here the bandwidth is large, hence a wide channel is required. So it is a bandwidth is 2 into del plus FM. And bandwidth requirement, bandwidth is 1 which is lesser than the FM or PM and it does not depend upon the modulation index. Whereas in case of this FM, bandwidth requirement is greater and depends upon the modulation index, and the bandwidth requirement is twice the sum of the modulating signal frequency and the frequency deviation. Del is a frequency deviation. And next is the frequency required for broadcasting. In AM broadcasting, radio broadcasting, the modulating signal has a bandwidth of 15 kHz and the bandwidth of amplitude modulated signal is 30 kHz. If the frequency deviation in case of FM is 75 kHz and the modulating signal frequency is 15, then the bandwidth requirement is 180 kHz. Number of sidebands in case of AM is 2, whereas in case of FM, the number of sidebands having significant amplitude depends upon the modulation index. And zero crossings in case of a modulating signal is equidistant in case of AM. It is not equidistant in case of the FM. And complexity in case of AM is AM transmitters and receivers are less complex than the FM and PM. But synchronization is needed in case of a double sideband suppressed carrier. Whereas in case of FM or PM, the more complex when compared to AM because the variation of modulating signal has to be converted and directed from the corresponding variation in the frequencies. And noise is concerned, AM receivers are very less susceptible to noise, whereas FM receivers are better immune to noise, and it is possible to decrease the noise by further deviation. And efficiency, power is wasted in transmitting the carrier signal in case of AM, where all the transmitted power is useful, so it's why FM is very efficient. Application is that AM is used in medium wave, shortwave band, broadcasting, video and transmission in TV. Whereas in case of FM, broadcasting FM and audio transmission on TV. And next is the difference between AM, FM and PM. Whereas in case of this FM, its a frequency is varied, AM amplitude is varied and PM phase is varied. So in all the three cases, amplitude, phase and frequencies of a carrier signal is varied based on the amplitude of the input signal. Noises is concerned, it is AM is a noise immunity of FM is superior to AM and PM. AM receivers are very less susceptible to noise and noise immunity is better than AM but not FM in case of PM. Function, the frequency of carrier wave deviates as per the voltage of the modulating signal in case of the AM. Whereas in case of FM, the amplitude of carrier wave in AM diverges as per the amplitude of voltage of the modulating signal. Here, in case of PM, the phase of the carrier wave varies as per the voltage of the modulating signal input. And types of AM are, AM is we having a double sideband suppressed carrier, single sideband, vestigial sideband. Whereas in case of FM, we will be having FSK, GFSK, offset PSK, etc. Whereas in case of PM, it is QPSK, BPSK, QAM and all. And waveforms in case of will be the variation in the frequencies. And in case of AM, variation in the amplitude, and in case of PM, variation in the phase. So that's all about the comparison of first we have seen what is this AM, FM and PM, and later we had a comparison between the AM and the PM, and we had a comparison between the AM, FM and PM. So thank you.